described as al-Judi. This is related in these words in the Quran. It was said, Earth, swallow up your water, and heaven, hold back your rain. And the water subsided, and the affair was concluded, and the ark came to land on al-Judi. And it was said, away with the people of the wrongdoers. Among those who had not boarded the ark and were drowned was one who had persisted in denial despite all the warnings issued to him. This was Noah's son. This is revealed in these words in the Quran. It sailed with them through mountainous waves, and Noah called out to his son, who had kept himself apart, "My son, come on board with us. Do not stay with the unbelievers." He said, "I will take refuge on a mountain. It will protect me from the flood." He said, "There is no protection from God's command today except for those he has mercy on." The waves surged in between them, and he was among the drowned. Noah's flood, described in the Quran and the Bible, has attracted people's notice for hundreds of years. A great many myths grew up around the flood, which were shaped in the light of the cultures of different civilizations. A great many different beliefs regarding the flood have thus come down to the present day. Those who deny the reality of Noah's flood support their view with the assertion that a worldwide flood is impossible. However, that criticism is aimed at distortions in the Torah. The Torah is the name given to the first 5 books of the Old Testament. It contains distortions that say that the flood was a cosmic event and that it engulfed the whole world. Yet the Quran does not make such an assertion. On the contrary, the relevant verses imply that the flood did not engulf the whole world, but drowned only Noah's people. The conclusion to be drawn from this is that the flood was a localized disaster. According to archaeological and historical findings, it occurred in Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamian plains have been suggested as the location of the flood. In this region flourished the oldest and the most developed civilizations known to history. In addition, lying between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this region is a suitable geographical setting for a great deluge. The second reason why this region is regarded as the location for the flood is historical. Astonishing documents can be found in the records of most of the civilizations established in the region. According to these documents, there was a great flood in the region that affected many civilizations at the same time. More important to us are the archaeological finds. According to these, the people living in Mesopotamia suffered a great many catastrophes over the course of history. Around the 2nd millennium BC, Ibisin, ruler of the large nation of Ur, situated to the south of Mesopotamia, described the year as coming after a flood that annihilated the borders between the heavens and the earth. Around 1700 BC, the Babylonian Hammurabi described the incident which occurred then as the ruining of the city of Eshnunna with a deluge. The disasters striking the region went even further than this, however. Floods also struck the region in the 10th century BC, at the time of the ruler Nabu-Mukin-Apal. In the 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries AD, and also in the 20th century. It appears that the region has always been prone to catastrophes. It is thus quite possible that a powerful flood could wipe out a whole people. Archaeologists have conducted a great deal of research in order to find traces of Noah's flood which affected Mesopotamia, and have uncovered such traces, and in 4 cities at once. These were the most important cities of Mesopotamia: Ur, Erech, Kish, and Shurupak. R.H. Hall of the British Museum went down in history as the first person to conduct excavations in the city of Ur. Leonard Woolley, who took it upon himself to carry on with excavations after Hall, also supervised an excavation jointly organized by the British Museum and the University of Pennsylvania. Excavations conducted by Woolley had a huge effect worldwide. They lasted from 1922 to 1934. And took place in the middle of the desert between Baghdad and the Persian Gulf. The first founders of the city of Ur were a people who had come from northern Mesopotamia and referred to themselves as Ubaydiyan. Archaeologists seeking more information about these people encountered the most astonishing remains. The city of Ur had a royal mausoleum. Many objects were discovered in the mausoleum: helmets, swords, musical instruments, works of art made from gold and precious stones, and, most important of all, historical records inscribed onto clay tablet with astonishing expertise and skill and using advanced technology. Based on these records, Woolley decided to dig deeper and encountered evidence of a terrible flood. This was mud, pure sand of a kind that could only have been deposited by water. When the excavations reached a depth of 2.5 meters, earthenware bowls emerged from underneath a layer of pure clay. The conclusion was obvious. These facts were a clear indication that the city of Ur was one of those struck by the flood. German archaeologist Werner Keller expressed the importance of the excavation by saying that the findings of city remains beneath a muddy layer in the archaeological excavations made in Mesopotamia proved that there was a flood there. Research continued in another Mesopotamian city, today known as Tal al-Uhaymer, or Kish of the Sumerian. According to ancient Sumerian sources, this city was the capital of the first post-Diluvian dynasty. It, too, contained traces of the flood. The city of Shurupak in South Mesopotamia, which is today known as Tal Farah, likewise carries apparent traces of the flood. Archaeological studies in this city were headed by Erich Schmidt from the University of Pennsylvania between 1920 and 1930. Traces of a civilization that had flourished in the region between 3000 and 2000 BC were found in these excavations. It appeared from the cuneiform inscriptions that the people of the region were culturally quite advanced. The main point is that a terrible flood was seen to have occurred in this city around 3000 to 2900 BC. According to the account of another archaeologist, Sir Max Mallowan, 4 to 5 meters below the earth, Schmidt had reached a yellow soil layer, formed by flood, made up of a mixture of clay and sand. This layer was closer to the plain level than the tumulus profile, and it could be observed